All right, let's call the meeting to order. It's 9:02, so good start. It looks like we have three commissioners and two alternates. So we have four. We have four.
Yeah.
So we're good to go. Yeah, that's right.
But we need to designate which alternate gets vote.
That would be Julie would be the.
Is it Julie's turn or Curly's turn? That's what I.
We both did last time.
You both
So
did
it's
last time.
probably toss up.
Yeah, we both did last time.
Okay,
So-
Who was?
who was first? Who's on first?
Julie's on
So-
first.
So Julie could only vote after Russ left. So you could put Julie on.
Julie, okay. So Julie,
Yeah.
you're out. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the April 6th meeting minutes?
I'll make that motion.
You have a second?
Second.
John seconds. Any comments or discussion about the April 6th meeting minutes? No comments. All in favor of approving, say aye.
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 Abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay, one abstention, yeah. Do we have any public comments? Okay, Davidson, public, all right. Co-chairs report. John, do you? want to-
Yeah, I have a couple items. We had spent time with House Bill 5508 and adopted and sent off a statement opposing it as it was written and revised in committee. It has passed the House, but in further modified form, which I'll describe in a couple sentences in a second. I don't know, the legislative session ends this week. I don't know whether the Senate will have time to take it up. So it either will be dead for this term or will pass in the form I'm about to outline. Basically, the revision, the parts that are relevant to us, take away all the language that we found objectionable and establishes a task force to report by the first of next year to consider the feasibility of the changes that we objected to. That's it in a nutshell. So they will debate, if the bill passes, debate whether it's feasible for municipal owned property to be exempt. It's desirable to have some non-binding process for HDC input. A significant change the task force would be asked to consider in place of appeals to not the Superior Court, not the Zoning Board of Appeals, but a new statewide appeals board. And just generally consider the format for contemporaneously broadcasting hearings. They also would have the discretion to consider any other matters. And if it does pass, we can talk about whether we want to have input on other matters. Over the course of the last few years, we have discovered a few ambiguities in the statute that might be helpful to clarify. So that's the status of that, and we'll know more by Wednesday.
And the municipal owned properties would be town hall, the green and the
School, the school driveway, side streets, the
Sidewalk.
firehouse, sidewalks.
Right.
The second item is that I want to report on is I have sent an email to Tim Griswold, who's chair of the Halls Road Sidewalk Committee, to ask him if the committee could designate a liaison to this committee to keep us posted. I have not heard back. However, in the course of discussions about the bill that I just talked about, there were some comments that indicated that the state thought it was already exempt from local HDC requirements. You probably have all noticed that the state installed new stoplights at the corner of Halls Road and Lime Street, and no peep from them, so they just plowed ahead. And Halls Road is part of Route 1, right? So it's a state road.
Yes.
And query whether we would have any official say over the sidewalk that's within the district. I do think that the provision of our statute that allows us to comment on sidewalks that are outside the district but that affect the district would still apply. So
Right.
it would make sense still to have a liaison with the Halls Road Committee. You know, the state just plows ahead, so I can't say I regard the new stoplight installation as historic in any sense, but there we are.
And you know, John, I've noticed in other towns that have those giant poles for the lights, that they're green. They're
Green.
painted dark green.
Maybe they plan to do that? Or
I don't
Well,
know.
it's worth an inquiry.
inquiry, yeah,
We can,
because that would be an improvement.
Right.
if you could let me know after what a couple of the towns, just so
Glastonbury,
site specific.
Glastonbury and Greenwich.
All right.
That's all I have.
Yeah, I don't have any additions at this moment. So well, let's move to 36 Lime Street. Guys, David?
Some shingles here for you guys.
Okay.
I'm David Noe from 360 Design. I'm here for 36 Lime Street. So the owner's asking to re-roof their house, going from wood to asphalt. I have a couple pictures here. So you can see here that the wood roof is now in disrepair and really needs to be replaced. And she's looking to go towards it's called the Tamco asphalt shingle in the weatherwood. So this is what she's asking to replace that with. And currently, as part of this, I'm not sure if I have to ask for that or not, but some of these branches are actually sitting on the roof. So she was just gonna trim those back as need be, just to get in there and do the work and keep some of the leaves off. Maintenance, yeah,
There's a tag on the tree to cut it down.
on the whole tree.
That's what I saw on the, facing the sidewalk.
Okay. My understanding from the
It's a
builder,
city or town tree.
Yeah.
the way the builder described it to me, they were looking just to trim it up at the, where it hits the shakes. And I guess there was some question about the existing railing on site. I can take that off for you. This existing railing, which I guess did not have a CFA originally.
See,
Correct.
This has been taken down since this picture was taken last week.
We noticed.
So,
Yeah.
I actually know, I thought I was expecting to come in here and ask for that to be added, but I guess she had taken it down, in the middle of this meeting, so.
As you know, it is important to have C of As before beginning any work.
Right.
So
So that's sort of the gist. I mean, the main goal is to replace these.
can you have the house picture back up?
Yeah.
So that we can look at that relative to the roof.
What's the brand of shingles there?
So they're Tamco. Tamko. And she's using weatherwood.
Yep.
For the color.
any questions or
How
we can have
old is
discussion?
the wood roof that's on there now?
I'm not sure. I do know there's significant cupping. You can see a lot of discoloration in the existing wood.
Do you know the age of the house?
Do not.
But do
I
you know,
guess, go ahead.
maybe Martha has the date of that house?
I can see what it says for, on vision appraisal, which will be approximate.
Is there any other data, while she's doing that, is there any other ongoing consideration of work that to the house that's being considered that we should look at, even though it's not being presented in the C of A, but think about relative to roof? Or is it simply a roof replacement?
Simply a roof.
Envision?
Yeah, so the one thing that,
With the flashing.
with the,
With
yeah, so
flashing, yeah.
everything will be copper for flashing.
Right,
Yeah, that's the full scope of work.
got it.
Was the new wood roof considered?
It was considered, but, due to cost implications for the owner, she's seeking approval for the asphalt.
I guess that's my big question. You have historic house and the wood roof fits the historic house.
Right.
So vision appraisal says 1900, which that's like a big ballpark. Hasn't been verified.
That's wood siding, wood cladding siding, yeah. Martha, have we passed, asphalt shingles in the district? For replacement of wood roofs? Is there a precedent?
I think we did for 6 Lime Street at one time. That originally had a wood roof and I believe they replaced it with
And these are, I mean, they are shaped like in the format versus a long.
Yeah, this is an architectural,
Yeah.
Roof, so you can see there's more definition to it. And it has shadow lines
Right. Right.
and high wind resistance, but
What's the projected life on that?
this is a 50-year. Ten-year warranty, but it's longer than that. I mean, typically they're like a 40 to 50-year shingle. Right.
And
Some of
it's
them are
called
considered-
weathered wood.
Yeah. Yeah.
The brand is,
Weathered gray one.
right.
So it was intended to kind of closely match the existing
Yeah.
roof now. And
Yeah, so it does, I mean, it does have sort of like that lightish gray with gray speckles in it.
Mhm.
Well, it's quite different.
It is, I mean, it's,
Hard
yeah,
to tell in the photos. I
Right.
don't know if they were held up.
I mean, there's a lot of green. You can see there's like a lot of green and black discoloration now in that roof, but
Well, yeah, a shingle roof goes kind of gray unless you clean,
Yeah.
clean it and
Oil it.
boil it, yeah.
yeah, then this tree as well creates a lot of shade. So
Yeah.
that'll often create a little bit of mold.
Mold to it, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a question for it. So there's been precedent. Obviously, a wood roof is more appropriate to the house and district than a shingle. This is probably as good a shingle design as one could get in an asphalt product. So,
Did approve standing seam in the new house. That was a departure.
right, that wasn't a change of material. This is a change,
But we
Yeah.
suggested wood, suggested slate.
right?
Well, it's also a question of what suits the building. And as Russ says, we were considering a new structure. The abstract, I don't remember, 6 Lime Street. I don't know if that was, I don't know.
Right,
Visibility from the street.
right.
I don't know how it melds with the siding.
Yeah, I would have to take some time to investigate that, to get all the details.
Russ, the old Brainerd house on the corner. I'm just a little concerned because I feel like we're like the zoning board of appeals, that people are coming to us saying, I have a hardship, financial hardship, but this is a historic district, so.
Mhm.
I'm afraid that in time, people are gonna say, well, I can't afford to fix my clapboard. Can I do vinyl? I mean.
And you-
I feel like we're taking in all of these financial considerations, but meanwhile, we're bound by statute to continue to preserve something like this.
Well, and I will note that the state of Connecticut, I think the program for, the tax
Yeah.
program is a 30%,
Yes.
availability
Okay.
for a roof,
If it's wood, yeah.
If
we
it- yeah, if
replace
it's-
wood with wood.
like, exactly. Because you're preserving the structure, which is what the state is, a historic structure, and you're in a national registered historic district. So it would be pretty sure that would be accepted, but I don't see why it wouldn't. Has that been considered in the, because if it's really a budget consideration, that might be part of it. Consideration.
Yeah, I mean, that is, I mean, it was talked about to replace in wood, but obviously, like we said, for budgetary purposes, they switched to asphalt. I was not aware of,
The state,
the state's option.
right?
I mean, that being said, typically, if you're talking $150 for asphalt a square versus $800 or $900 a square for wood. So I don't know if that 30% is enough to get the client there, but certainly an option.
It's a tough issue, as Deb says. My understanding is that the ZBA, when it considers hardship, has a very specific definition of hardship that does not include
Not financial.
financial. And in a sense, we're faced with the same issue. Our statutory mandate is to consider suitability for historic purposes. So.
So how does that work if there's been a precedent set on another property?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The precedent. We have no, our consideration is property by property. That's why I was asking the questions about, I don't know whether there are trees that shield the view. I don't know the compatibility with the shingles of the other house.
Yeah.
That is often part of
Found something.
the case when people come in, that they bring information to show
Yeah.
comparable properties and build a case as to how a change would still be historic with respect to the newer building that Ed was referring to. There are a couple other instances in the district, not of main houses, but of buildings in that style. So that was part of the case that they presented, that it was not something brand new for the district.
I do know one part of it is definitely the tree and the issues that they were having with mold growth, due to the shade coming off of that tree. I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but it's pretty big and it does provide a lot of shade to that portion of the roof, from here over.
If it's coming down, that would change. I mean, if it's slated to come down.
My understanding was they were just gonna cut the branches where they're touching the house. So literally just like, so they could get.
No, but
rid
the
of
city.
Oh, the city.
You were saying,
I walked by there the other day and there was a sign on the tree that
Just coming down.
coming down.
Martha, you had a comment?
I did find a case where the HDC approved, the replacement of a wood shingle roof at 40 Lime Street. With, asphalt shingles. Certainteed architectural shingles, weathered wood.
When was that?
That was in, September 2013. And that house, is an older house. Says 1875 and vision appraisal, although again, that's a ballpark figure.
David, do you think I'm hearing the reluctance of the committee to necessarily approve this. Do you think there might be an opportunity to raise the Connecticut tax funding availability?
Yeah.
With your client and see if that might be possible that the C of A could be resubmitted as a wood roof.
Yeah.
Versus, proceeding with the vote at this point in time, it would give you an opportunity, because we have, 60 days?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, 60 days from when it was submitted, and it was
Submitted.
submitted April 4th, so it's already 31 days, 30 days. So when is the June meeting?
and when were they planning to roof?
Next week.
Next week?
This is like sort of a little
Well,
background on.
it says,
Little background on the project, so the builder who's a friend of mine calls me up and says, we're ready to re-roof this house. I was like, wait a minute, you can't just go re-roof this house. We need to find out if we need approvals or not.
Right.
Let me call.
You're the messenger.
Yeah, I'm the messenger here.
Don't shoot the messenger.
So we obviously applied for the CNA and,
Right.
and we're here, so.
Which is correct.
I actually haven't met the client. I'm working for the builder right now.
Right, okay.
So the June meeting is June 1st.
so that
We have
would still be
65
within-
days.
Still be within
Yeah.
65 days.
Yeah, so I mean, I can bring that up with the client. We can talk about options. Now, if we are going wood, do we have to
Like
come
for
back?
like, you don't have to come, you could submit a like for like form, you don't
Okay.
have to come back, right?
Yeah.
That's right. So you could still re-roof next week. If it's
Oh, if it's
replacing
wood.
wood for wood, that's right,
But, like for like is
right.
exactly like for like. It's not plywood for.
No.
It would be a wood,
It would be cedar,
It would be that, yeah.
cedar roof with copper,
yeah.
I mean,
strip edge and all that.
my personal view is on that house, think a wood roof is historic.
Right.
So I would urge you to investigate that. If you want to still come in and build the case for asphalt shingles, you have the numbers of a couple houses where
Yep.
Previous iterations of this commission have approved asphalt shields, and it might be helpful for the commission to have pictures of them.
Okay.
We can all each drive by and look at them too and see about tree blockage and
Okay, and if we choose to do that, do we submit the pictures in advance? I'll send them to Martha.
anything in
Thanks, Mark.
advance would be helpful.
I appreciate it.
So you have two options and you could proceed with a like for like form.
Yeah.
Then there would be no fee. Would he waive the C of A fee if he were
Yeah, it would be,
returned, right?
well,
Or is it?
it goes with the application.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I think if you want $40 back, we could arrange that.
Yeah,
That's not a problem.
okay.
I appreciate it. Thank
Thanks,
you for your
David.
time.
Yeah, thank
Thanks.
you.
So we should move to continue the public hearing.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, is he withdrawing the C of A?
not at this point.
No, it's still within, so we need to move to continue it.
Yeah, so I would move to continue the public hearing until the June 5th. June 1st meeting. And, the implication is if they can go with wood, you just notify us that you're withdrawing.
Yes, absolutely.
See,
We'll let you know right away.
Do we have a second? That's a motion. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Appreciate your time.
52 Lime Street. Yeah. Good morning.
Hi.
The COA. I'll sign it for you. Oh, good. Thanks. Right.
Just want to say thank you to Martha for facilitating all the back and forth emails over the last couple of days.
That Martha, not mine.
Yes, that's Martha. So good morning, everyone. I think that you guys got a copy of the COFA and then the pictures that we took. So we're pivoting a little bit. We went out to the front of the, I'm just gonna stand here. We went out to the front of the building, and I have these lovely, these are exactly what they would look like if they were on stone. So this is what it would look like.
Add with some AI magic.
Oh,
That
that's great. I'm so glad.
the,
Perfect.
You want to pass it?
I'll pass it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, sure.
That's really great. Whoever did that, thank you, because I just didn't even think of it.
So
Copy right up.
is this, I should make sure before we pass that this is accurate in the, because
Yeah, so this is just to get an idea when we went out.
right, so this is a much better representation.
Yeah, that's a much better representation.
Right, just wanna make
But
sure.
just so you're aware of how big the signs are, like this is the size, this is the size. This is exactly what the size would be.
The size may be slightly different than that.
Yeah,
Well, it's pretty accurate.
But it's pretty close.
yeah,
Yeah.
we went out and took pictures, and then he took our pictures and reframed it for the real thing.
so the advantage of this, we think, is we're not gonna have to, one, the garden club won't have to pay for the stone ideally, which is a great thing for us, right? If we had to, we would, but that's one less thing for us to like hash out the angles, the sizes, things like that. And then also it just kind of goes with the rest of what's over there. Or like as of right now, there's 2 blank walls. There's like nothing on there. And I think that these would be a great addition to that whole area. Additionally, one of our members is going to be in charge of the planters that's out there for the summer. So they'll be all red, white, and blue, and it'll just sort of spruce up the area, I feel like, a little bit. Yes.
So there are stone planters in front of those.
Mhm.
I think in the interest of clutter, if the stone planters went away, it would reduce the clutter look.
Well, the center one is a little bit heavier, but the 2 side ones
This side,
are moved during the year, depending on what is the display that the garden club puts up. So
Yeah. So I
for
agree.
Memorial Day, it would most likely be red, white, and blue because American Legion and the VFW would appreciate that.
Yeah. The center one is feel like a little cluttered. I think we would have to try to move that one a little bit, but the larger side ones, I feel like add like color to the site. We potentially could take the middle one out, the longer one. We also reached out to the VFW and the American Legion, and both of those groups are on board with it. They're welcoming the addition of the sign. I didn't want to step on their toes. It's their thing, but they're happy. They're happy to have it. We have one letter that you guys should have gotten of approval, so to speak, and then we were having another one in the works, but it didn't make it this morning. So, and that's from the American Legion. But they're happy.
Was there a letter? I don't recall seeing.
I did send it.
There was
Okay.
a short email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, I can give you a copy of it.
Dick Mason wrote a letter.
Okay.
It's just an email that I printed, but because it's not like an actual letter.
We'll pass that around.
There were a bunch of emails.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So I know this isn't exactly what we talked about the last time, but when we got the actual sizing and we actually went out to police them, this just seemed like a better fit. So that is what we are asking approval for today.
So Mary Ellen,
Yes.
I know that you guys have changed the location like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
But does American Legion and VFW know that the latest rendition that you're looking at?
Yeah.
They've approved that.
We sent them exactly the same pictures that you guys are looking at, except the one, whoever did that mock-up, but they also have a picture of what the actual plaques look like.
So what were the intentions of these so-called wings on this monument? Is it supposed to be
No.
like, you know, soldiers' names in there? I'm just a little concerned that these were there for some other purpose.
Yeah. And I agree, that's why I said before we go forward with this, we need it.
We need it for recordings,
Sorry.
just have one person
One
speaking
conversation,
at a time.
yeah.
I wanted to check with them for that exact thing. I'm like, why were they gonna
What
do
were they
something
there-
with
what
it?
were the
Names,
initials?
I had the same thought, and they didn't have any feedback on it. And it's been there since 1996, I think. So I feel like there's been plenty of time for them to utilize them, but they didn't say, no, we're earmarking those for something else. So I don't know what they were intended for.
And the one that you have, the sample there,
Yeah.
is that the same size that is in other towns that we've seen?
Yes, these are the exact same.
Not the one in Saybrook. The
Yeah,
one in
not the-
Saybrook is on a post
Well,
up
that's what I
high.
mean, the ones that I've seen in other towns that are on a post, this is.
No,
Right.
This is smaller.
That's
this is a,
different.
this is a byway marker, not a highway marker.
Yeah, they're two different
Things.
things. So
What's the one in Old Saybrook then?
The
that,
highway marker.
yeah, that's the highway marker. That's the one we originally wanted out here, the really, really big ones that go up on the post.
Okay.
And then we sort of scaled it down because I know that, we talked about clutter and things, and we compromised sort of to get down to this size. And this is exactly the size.
So that would go on
One of
the
those
right and the
wings.
left side.
Centered, yes.
How is that going to be fixed?
So they come with holes and they just get screwed into the granite. So we would obviously have somebody who's done that before, not just like my husband or someone.
No.
Yeah. We actually are working with, Nick
Bolton.
Thank you, Martha, who is the one who erected that monument, and he was gonna help us with the stone out front. And supply it at a discounted rate. And so he said if they have to get screwed in, then he would help us with that.
I guess I have some concerns. Thinking back to the discussion when you were here
Mhm.
before. There were some comments about the existing flagpole having a certain elegance. And I wonder how these would fit with that. There was some concern about the messages that are right next to each other.
They aren't the
potentially.
same.
I know they're not identical. I'm just trying to recount the comments that were made.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if, and then there was discussion also about possible placement at the garden club little circle near that sign and other discussion about possible placement near a tree. There was concern about whether they might be slanted and the maximum height over the ground. There was concern about the maximum size of the stone on which they would be affixed.
Yeah.
So long wind up, here's the pitch. Since we're right here, I wonder if we could have an impromptu site visit and take the signs outside and kind of visually try to assess what they
I was actually hoping you would ask that because I'm happy to go outside with you guys, but I wasn't sure about the Zoom, if that was availability, like, because there's people on here that can't actually go out and see it.
Right.
Well, I don't know how we do that. We
I don't either.
had site visits in the-
I think there has to be a site visit. I mean, we can't,
Yeah, but
believe
a site visit is a meeting and it can't be recorded.
right, but where you're
They have
asking,
site visits though for inland wetlands and planning. They go on a white site walk. They just take their notes. They
but
take notes.
it's a separate meeting. It's a separate meeting. It's not
It is.
part of the official HTC meeting.
So you'd have to have a
schedule, but-
special meeting.
I mean, if you wanted to go out on your own, not as an official
Well,
party and look.
no, I think it should be in a meeting.
Well, we are having a discussion later on the agenda about scheduling a special meeting soon about a whole bunch of other items that we never seem to have time to get to. So we could schedule us,
Agreed.
add that to the special meeting agenda and this would be heard within a week or two.
Perfect.
Early, you had a comment.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the pots that are in front of the stones now would be moved, but would they still be there?
They can be moved. Yeah, they're super easy to pick up. I mean, we can move them anywhere. But yeah, I think they would still be there because they've been there for so long and they usually have the flowers in them. But the long one, the really long one is kind of awkward because right now it covers the bottom where it says dedicated July 4th. It doesn't really have a place there. So I feel like that one is sort of could be.
It just looks like these would cover up the markers.
The Duck River Garden Club changes the positioning of those depending on what season it is and what they're planting. When we have the wreath for Memorial Day and Veterans Day, the middle planter is usually taken away. And the side planters, if they have nothing in them, they're put behind. So they're just used, they're movable, they're basically temporary in their place. They're not permanently
Seasonal, right?
in place.
I was just thinking that if they were out there with the signs, that makes the whole thing a lot better.
Well, Duck River Garden Club won't plant anything that makes anything over the signage. They try their best to do a very good job of
And they do.
landscaping.
I have one comment. I want to go back to your comment about the wings. The wings were designed there for a purpose. Or else they wouldn't be there, right? They wouldn't have designed this.
Right.
It would have just been the centerpiece. So the question is, what is the purpose of the wings? And it may be it's part of the quietness of the design. So I think we should take that into consideration as well, and maybe even investigate and understand what the original
Intent was.
to the wing. They're there for a reason.
Sure.
And it could very well be a design reason. It could have been for names. I don't know, but I just wanted to add that in our thought and consideration.
So what I can do then is I'll reach out to both the VFW and the American Legion and I'll talk with them. And then when we go to the site meeting, I can kind of let
That
you
would be
guys.
great.
Okay.
To hear the intent of the original.
you know,
wings on the design.
I can also invite them to the meeting.
And
Yeah,
it would
it's
be a
public meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you can talk to them specifically
That would be
and get
great.
their thoughts firsthand. Okay.
That's great. And then we could all look at it together and
Perfect.
have that conversation.
Could we look at the calendar now and pick a date and for
Sure.
special meeting and then
Sure.
Can I just say that in honor of 250th, on the flagpole, there is a sign that is on a wooden plaque. The wooden plaque is falling apart. It was old. It wasn't evidently ever painted or treated with anything or polyurethane, whatever, but it's old, it's splintery. And the plaque itself needs to be polished because it's brass, but it hasn't been taken care of. So we are going to take it off, redo the plaque, what it's mounted on, the same exact size, and just put it back up. And that was put up by the American Legion. And Mark from the American Legion said to me, go, please do it, especially it's terrible looking.
that, just for our record, should have a like for like from
A like,
like for like form. It's not a public hearing, but it's just a notice that you're replacing.
Are you also, do you also need me to fill out a form that we might repaint the flagpole because it's rusted?
Painting.
Okay. I'll do like, I have to get upstairs to an interview, so I'm
Okay,
gonna
Martha.
step out
Okay.
and I'll see you at the sidewalk.
Thank you.
Okay. So,
Scheduling?
yes.
Why don't you propose a date and then let's see if it,
So when did you have, you said you already had something sort of
We-
set up?
We're going to, this will push us to have a special meeting on other issues too.
right, that's right. And we want to do it within the next 2 weeks, right? Next week.
Well-
Ideally,
What about next Monday?
Mondays, Monday afternoon, the 11th.
Well,
Can't
I'm,
do the mornings, but. Yeah,
Do until about 2:00.
Yeah, the afternoon's better.
After 2.
after two,
3?
Yeah.
3 work?
does 2:00, 2 or 3 on Monday, the 11th?
So how quick do we think the meeting will be? Like, I mean, I'm not rushing. I'm just trying to, I gotta pick my kid up at 3:15.
Well, I mean, are you free right at 2 or
It
2:30?
would be a 30,
Yeah.
no more than 30.
Okay, so we could do
Yeah.
2:30. I mean, and then I could get over to Mile Creek by 2:15. That works.
2:30 is a little.
2:30.
2:30.
Okay.
And does that, do we have enough time to give notice for that meeting? Yes, okay. All right.
Okay.
So special meeting, and then we could continue to meet on other things afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2:30 next Monday out front here.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Great.
so we're good then? All
Yes.
right, great. It was nice to
We-
see you guys again. Sorry we can go.
Where's the continuation?
We should
Do it
This
continue.
this is officially, you referred to it as an amendment. You can't, my understanding by statute, amend an existing, I mean, this is a new C of A,
Mhm.
right?
This is the
So,
new-
Okay,
so the continuation to the special meeting would be a continuation of the new
Of the new
C of A
CFA.
application. So we need to.
Do we need to vote? Do we need
Move to
vote? All right.
continue the hearing to a site visit to be held on at 2:30 on at a special meeting to be held at
I'll-
2:30 on
I'll make a motion
May
to,
11th.
I'll make a motion to move the 52 Lime Street
To continue the hearing.
C of A as a continuation of the hearing as a site visit on Monday, May 11th at 2:30 PM.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
okay, just so real quick, so I'm on the same page as everyone. So when we do that, do you guys vote then, or do we come back June 1st?
We can.
Okay, I'm just trying to, for my own scheduling, like
It's a
knowing,
meeting.
okay,
We can vote. Yeah.
perfect, great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great spring. See you Monday.
60 Lime Street. French doors. Okay. They're wooden, by the way. Please have.
Hi.
South Side Building.
What is there now? Are there existing French doors there now?
No
Any-
doors there at all.
Any door? You
There's
just-
a
No,
window.
there's 2 windows. I mean, this was a department store. It was Walmart's before Walmart's. But it was a department store. When I moved here, It just closed in 1965. You can't Dick French's antique store.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But I went in there and there was clothing, there's kitchen goods,
Oh,
everything that Walmart has, they had
oh.
2 floors.
Do you have a photograph of the side of the house right now as is?
Uh, I don't know if I took a picture or not.
Okay,
South, of the south side.
I'm just trying to get an idea of,
Well, it's, if you look at it, it's right there, you know, but there's a sidewalk going right to it. So it was originally planned to have a door there.
is
because,
there any image on
Pat
your,
and
on
John did
the
it.
real estate listing?
How about, Martha, do we have the photos upstairs? Did you locate where those?
I could take a walk and do it real quick.
I can do it if you want to.
Do you know where the photos are that Deanie?
Yeah, is there anything in it?
I don't know. I think the photos would just be at the front of the building. I don't know.
No.
That's true.
We have a photos coming up.
Oh,
You know,
we're looking it up on the listing.
But yeah, it's helpful for us to see the.
Yeah.
actual side.
Two up,
So-
one down below.
So it would be
Amazing.
on this side, right?
Yes,
So between that window and the edge there,
yeah, it's in the center, basically the center of the wall.
so in here,
And there's a walkway. You see the walkway? You can actually see.
is this the walkway?
Yeah, you see the brick sidewalk.
Yep, okay, oh,
And it
okay.
goes right
Oh,
to
okay, got it.
It already
So
goes
these,
right to it.
these shrubs would be all removed?
Yes.
So are you gonna need some additional little bit of walkway to connect?
No, it's,
To the,
well, maybe.
You would still
but
enter here
Yeah.
and go to,
Actually, it needs a landing stone. 'Cause the
Okay,
bridge
that's
still
what I
needs
was gonna
that
ask
part
too.
from the foundation.
Okay.
This is what we have.
Oh.
Everybody, you should have that, copy of that here.
Well, I don't see that in the pack. Oh, yeah, it is. It is.
it's here.
That's right. Let's skip the page.
Oh, yeah, there's
There.
I've got that.
Tended to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question, Russ,
Yes, go ahead.
how do the French doors improve the building, the use of the building?
Well, it's a multi-use building. So, I mean, for instance, there's no door on that side. You have to go around back. And it's because, like you said, those were just shelving in those days. So only like one window on the whole side of the building.
does this make it more marketable?
Oh, yeah,
It's more of a house
Yeah.
type look?
yeah, definitely.
It connects it connects the building to the garden
Yeah, that
It
nice
is,
courtyard, okay.
Yeah.
that is actually separated with the fence around it. So it actually, that basically is kind of isolated and it brings the first floor out into that garden.
To the garden, I see
It's
that.
not-
Yeah.
That's right. It's not for a main entrance.
Beautiful.
So would it be centered, just to the location, would it be centered on the axis of the,
Yes.
the
Yes.
circle that's the cross
Yeah,
axis?
you can actually see it going.
Yeah, yeah. So the idea is that, it be- yeah,
Would the shrubs in the front to the left of the front window be removed also?
No.
No, okay.
You're talking if you're looking at the building, you're talking the left side where the fence is,
Right
right?
here,
there. No,
this-
they would. remain.
Okay,
Really dark in there. One window. And most of that brickwork and stuff was done by the Sprats. Because partly historical, partly where the houses were shown. Remember about 20 years ago, they were in all the,
no, it's a nice courtyard.
yeah,
We had a beautiful tree there a beautiful.
Oh, okay.
maple tree that was there.
this is the actual door.
Yes, we hear them.
With door.
Down a little farther.
it gets hard to find a door that's not flat.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Prime frame.
One question I had, you labeled it wooden here, but then the description talks about,
It's wood all the way through,
composite
but it's manufactured
composite
inside.
frame, so it's wood framed. with
What
a
it is,
different core.
it's fabricated wood inside, so it doesn't shrink and swell.
Ah.
But it's covered in a veneer of Doug fir.
Oh,
I see.
So
Okay.
would it be like this without the side lights, pretty much?
Yes.
This is the back.
Yes, without the side lights, yeah. It's gonna be green.
Oh,
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's actually fits.
The back of the
building.
property.
Yeah, there's improvement.
Yeah, yeah.
Without the side
the
lights.
side lights, okay.
One question, is there is there a light or anything that would go with it? Or is it, we're just adding the door and then the brick sidewalk up to the
Haven't
door?
discussed it yet, but I would be surprised if there's not a light there. And it has to be
Right.
historical.
Right,
Yeah, obviously.
right. But that's not part of the C of A at this point. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Everybody have a good general picture of what the proposed design is? And it's wood finish. And the hardware is specified,
This is,
bright brass
Yeah,
tone
bright
hinge, composite frame, white compression, white corner sealed, for astragal, brush nickel astragal strike plate, aluminum bronze sill, so that the door handles,
Shiny brass.
see the bright brass hinge. So a polished,
Yeah.
shiny brass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hinges in,
Do you envision a need for a handrail there?
no, because it's only one step.
So you'll have a stone.
I think so. Probably the cheapest way to go. If you do brick, you got all that labor and,
I think it will really look attractive.
yeah, sure.
With a large stone.
Yeah, a 6-foot stone.
Keeping.
And it enters, and to Ed's questioning, maybe I missed it. But what does it enter and exit? to?
Into the big room.
The big room,
The big room, yeah.
As you walk in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do we, any more questions, comments, or a motion?
Just, do you foresee the building retaining its commercial use, or?
I don't think we know the answer to
No.
that. It's both commercial, it's for commercial or residential.
well, wait a
But we
second.
would like people to be able to envision the whole.
Well,
feel.
let me put it this way, is that we had an offer from a construction company and then a landscaping company, and we rejected both of them for two reasons. One, we didn't think it fit within what we would like to leave as a legacy to Lime Street. And two, we didn't think it would be fair to our neighbors in the back.
Right.
So what we're really trying to do is position it so someone can envision it in terms of as a home, or envision it kind of as a retail or a commercial combination that would be consistent with here. I mean, when with my company, we had 6 people working here, including Katie at the front. And so we were bringing, people in that were, from out of town that were working here every day. And then Pat's business with her fashion business, and then my daughter Lily's, our daughter Lily's with her clothing line. So what we don't want to do is see it turned into like a construction storage site where there's landscaping equipment or something like that. So what we're trying to do is give people the vision of what it could be, as opposed to just selling it to anyone.
Is it actually zoned commercial residential, or?
Yes.
So if somebody wanted to make it a residence, there's no, challenges they have with the town to do that?
Well,
No.
it's the whole historic district is zoned residential. It's just that if you have an existing
Right,
commercial
Right.
activity, then it's grandfathered in.
Right.
So the commercial activities are ongoing now. That you
Well,
were
we just
talking
put it
about.
up on the
We
market,
put it
so,
on, it's on the market, but it wasn't until that point.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
so it whoever buys it will need to talk to zoning about the fit of a new business with the past uses.
Right.
There've been discussions, for example, with the ice cream shop, and somebody wants to come in and do something different. Well, you can't really change from my understanding, zoning person. You can't change from food service roughly, and you can't greatly expand the food service.
Right.
So but that's,
Yeah, we went through all
if
this.
you sell it, you sort of give, that's the new owners, but they will have to,
Yeah, we went through all that when we purchased the building years ago.
yeah.
Because we wanted to use it for, we wanted to maintain it so that it could be an apartment, because that's what it was, apartment in the art gallery and the antique store. And then for the use for the clothing business for Lily and for Pat's business in terms of home goods. So, yeah. But what we'd like to do is we'd like to see someone that would have appreciation for the historic
Right.
character of
Right.
Right,
Lime
it's a
Street.
beautiful
Yeah.
property. I had no idea that you had
Yeah.
It's a stunning property.
the
It
land
is
in the back with the barns.
Did the building, there's multiple buildings, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Were those added or were they there when you?
So the,
Existing.
yeah, so, yeah, so there's actually the main building, then there's the sliding door shed building,
Right.
and then there's the barn building. And then there's an outbuilding way at the end of the field. And then there's a small shed building.
Yeah, it's great.
They used to park school buses in there.
Oh, really?
That I didn't know.
Town historian.
Yeah, well, I've been here since 65.
Yeah.
I'm still a newbie though.
Yeah, that's right. Compared to so many others.
So
We're newbies.
I just have one minor question, the bright brass, is that?
It doesn't have to be, but,
Well, I mean,
but that's on the front
What's on the
door.
front?
Front door is bright grass.
It is bright
Yeah,
grass,
so either,
You'll be consistent with
Yeah,
the rest of the
That's,
building.
that's all I want.
it won't look that new very long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah, unfortunately, they coat them instead of making solid brass nowadays.
I think, but I think you can
You can. do
you can
things.
have it more antiqued if.
Well, yeah. What you gotta do is take the lacquer off.
Right.
Okay, and
Right.
then let it patina
A
itself.
little patina.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I,
One last question, are the hedges that we see here, because we didn't talk about that, are they part of the C of A? And do we have anything to say or?
I think in one of your
Comments.
drawings,
Those
will
are
there
there,
be
there.
plantings on either side?
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
that probably seems like the most appropriate thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if we had any comments or, Carolyn is always well versed in
Green.
plantings, which is
Yes.
not here.
Well, the only thing, maybe I didn't realize that this would be the forum, but the other thing that we would like to do is, I don't know if you remember, there's a beautiful shade tree that was in the center of that.
Oh, in center of the door.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but what Pat idea was is that we would put 3 trees along the fence on the southern side, one at the corner, each corner, and one in the center. That would be like a flowering tree in the springtime.
we don't really get into
Yeah,
plantings with one exception. We talk about them when they're part of the screening, like if somebody
Screening.
wants to
Right.
put in
Oh,
air
yeah.
conditioning. So,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
dictating what you can.
Yeah,
plant
you
in
can
your
Right, right,
right,
front yard.
We're not hiding anything with the
So I don't think we have anything
your shrubbery, right?
to say about that. Could I make a motion?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me move that we approve the C of A application as submitted with the conditions that the doorway be centered on the access of the existing brick circle,
Mhm.
that the
Good.
outside wood frame be Douglas fir, just to pin down a little bit what's in the description, and that
It'll all be painted, by the way.
It's matching the.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and that
Color.
a natural stone step be approved, not to exceed what would be an appropriate 6 foot by 4 foot.
yeah, because it's.
It'd be 6 foot wide.
door.
6 foot wide.
Yeah.
6 foot
Yeah.
wide.
And it's just a stepstone.
Stepstone.
Doesn't need a landing there, really.
Right.
So not to exceed.
So at 12-inch, 1 foot by 6 foot.
Well, what we do often is just give a
footprint.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's the
You know,
footprint?
if it ends up
Make
being
it large,
5.5 feet, if it
Better.
ends up being a foot and a half, so I'd say.
A limit. We're
Not,
trying to keep you from.
Yeah.
not to exceed 6 foot by 2 foot. Is that,
Let's say 6 foot by 3 foot, because I
6 foot
think
by
you want
3
to have a natural progression until we actually have it cut out. We want to make sure that that step is a normal step.
Right,
Okay,
Let me go-
okay, so
Yeah.
not to exceed 6 by.
natural stone,
natural stone.
natural stone. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in,
Waive my only other
oh, we have,
comment, and just in case anyone has comments, but is if you do want to do a lighting, we need an application for the style of the lighting.
separate
Sort
CFA.
of side on that.
I think you should let the new owners decide.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
We're trying to let them envision.
We're showing the connection.
Well, there might be a light pole there too, you know,
Whatever,
like a 6 foot tall.
whatever, just.
Because there's a courtyard there, so that could be lit up different
You can-
ways.
you can
Yeah.
Alert them that they need to.
They're gonna have to come back.
I'm sure that they would be coming back in general, because there's, then they'd have to
Right.
put their stamp on the building.
I think we had a second, so, all in favor, say aye.
I-
Aye. All opposed?
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
By the way, I cedar shingles instead of asphalt. Okay, cedar shingles last forever. You can't have a tree on them.
Yeah, right.
I got 40-year-old roofs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think we all have them.
Yeah.
John, I have to leave.
But you need a professional to do
Okay.
it. That's the worst thing.
Yeah.
So do we
Yeah.
need, does Curly need to be?
Yeah.
Yes, so Ed's departing at, what do we got?
Thank you very much.
10:04. And Curly is now, a member. Ready? All right, and we did, sign and lighting discussions. The,
Are you here for the sign and lighting discussion? Come on
come
up.
on up.
Morning,
Good morning.
I'm Mary Seidner. I'm the Director of Lawrence Youth Service Bureau, and you invited me to come today. So,
Yes.
okay.
Thank you for
Are there-
coming.
Is there anyone here from the church?
Not here. I didn't see them.
They did confirm that they would be here. I sent them.
And are we on time? Let's see.
Yes.
Are we a little bit early?
No, it's 9:55.
9:55, yeah.
10 minutes.
Close,
A little after, yeah.
close to being.
They should be here by now.
They should be here by now.
Yeah. So why don't we proceed with the discussion?
Well. Shall I start?
Yes, please.
No, Mary, thank you for coming. I think when you were here before, I think it was you said that occasionally not-for-profits got together
We do.
and discuss things. So we wondered whether you have had an occasion to discuss things, if it would be.
Well, the directors of the nonprofits in Old Lyme meet about 5 or 6 times a year to discuss various things. And definitely this issue has come up occasionally. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, here's some of the background. Our statute gives us control over signs. If they're structure signs, if they're things planted in the ground, we have to have a C of A. If they're non-structure signs, we still have control over, although we can pass judgment as it were, set the terms of that control. So for banners, for signs that are set on top of the ground, they're not structures. We still have are mandated to exercise control. So the issue comes up particularly with temporary signs. And there's no exemption for temporary signs. So when we developed our signage guidelines, we said, well, this is sort of ridiculous to say somebody has to come in and talk to us every time they want to put in a temporary sign. So we included in the guidelines a system for, if you will, approval in advance, just to make sure signals are straight with the location, size of temporary signs. We've had some issues in the past with so-called temporary signs not really being temporary, with temporary signs having in one occasion, lights and large structures. So in your discussions with other nonprofits, it would be useful to remind people that they should come in. The other concern is that some of the temporary signs can be really cheap looking, and so the church, for example, has a very attractive temporary sign that they use for musical masterworks, but the wire signs, I think, you run into problems even with zoning.
So I'm wondering if it would be helpful. I mentioned when I was here last time on another matter and signage sort of came up a little bit. If it would be helpful to have some kind of meeting or info session with the nonprofits and businesses on Lime Street, just to explain the rules, because I do think there's a lot of confusion. And then there's some zoning that overlaps as well. And so I think we would be happy to sit down and have a conversation about, and then you can hear from us about what our challenges are,
Right.
because I'm sure that you want to support us and, right.
Organizations, and they have events, and you need to know.
We have a lot of events, so I understand, where you're coming from as well. But we do a lot of events, and sometimes they come up very last minute, and so I think it would be helpful to hear from you about, I know just having this item on your agenda today kind of piqued the interest of nonprofits. A few are here today just because they wanted to hear what you had to say. So we've got.
Well, I think that the signage guidelines do address this
Yeah.
issue,
Mhm.
but the implementation is really, in a sense, organization by organization.
But John,
So, but
if I can interrupt for 1 second, I think that the goal is to develop some ideas about signage that are, our whole mission is that the signage in the district is in keeping with the historic character of the district. And so our goal is to, instead of having every sign that's being put up in the district, and if it hasn't come to us or having to come to us, that we come up with some parameters
Mhm.
that work with the different organizations, such that you're not always having to figure out what we might say or not say, to say, okay, these kind of signs, this kind of design is in keeping and supportive of the historic character of the district. That's our mission. So if we could work together to figure out what that might be,
Mhm.
I think that would be very helpful. And we've kind of outlined that signage definition in the sign guidelines, and maybe it'd be helpful to go through that.
yeah, and when I was trying to say that we address it, it's for temporary signs. It's not like we're dictating any one thing. This needs to be a product of discussion. But I think in general, as I mentioned, cheap little plastic signs, there are alternatives to
You mean like the
that.
little kind that have the wire legs that stick in the ground like a
Mhm.
open house for a real estate or something like that?
Right.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, because there is a zoning side of this also,
Mhm.
if it might be a good idea to try to set a date and time for representatives of nonprofits and Eric Knapp
Mhm.
and one or two or as many want to come, folks from this.
Mhm. I think that would be helpful. I know the agenda item also included lighting, which was,
The lighting issue was on there because some folks on this commission had a particular question for the church about their
Oh.
lighting.
mhm.
We are still in the process of talking about guidelines for lighting, similar to the guidelines we have about signage.
Well, but there's guidelines for lighting on signs. So that's one category.
Lighting and sign lighting.
That's
Okay.
right, right. So there's lighting on buildings and so forth.
Okay.
But but the guidelines for signage actually include some verbiage of, and the intent basically is that we're trying to focus, if there is lighting, that it's focused on the sign and not spilling,
Right.
to the broader
Mhm.
community. It's really serving its purpose. And that same, I mean, the town is even outside of our jurisdictions talking about lighting as a whole as part of the whole town code rewrite.
Yeah.
But the basic idea is kind of the dark sky principle, where we're trying not to illuminate any more than
Yeah.
what's needed to be illuminated. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you all have any other input? Questions?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I do. You actually were saying it as I sat down. So I'm Katie from the library. As a nonprofit operating in the community, having received the signage guidelines that were published, was it last year or updated
Late.
last year?
Yeah, okay, let's do it.
Late
Late
24.
24, I think.
It was difficult to discern what you have in mind for a temporary sign. First reading, second reading, and third reading.
Okay.
My sense was you wanted a permanent looking temporary sign, which is financially unviable for the nonprofit, or speaking on behalf of the nonprofit I run,
Right.
Financially untenable. And so it felt more of an emotion than logic, but it felt
Right.
like it was a bit of a, we don't want temporary signs without saying no temporary signs.
I see.
And so hearing that you're interested in coming up with some parameters that we can consistently rely on and operate with is wonderful.
Right.
Really look forward to seeing what that is. But it's just difficult. So the sign you mentioned that you really like for Musical Masterworks, they are able to invest in that because it's not a one-time thing. They use the same sign for a whole season. And so they can put several $100s into it because they're going to be using it weekly or twice weekly for, a quarter or a half of the year, as opposed to a one-time event dropping 30% of the proceeds to purchase that nice looking temporary sign. You're effectively saying no temporary signs. So just wanting to.
Well, I'm wondering
Yeah.
if it's, and actually the museum, I'm thinking, has the sign with the banner
Right.
that's changeable. Like, could
Yes.
there be a solution that is designed in a way that it changes with the event,
Mhm.
but the presentation of it is
Consistent.
consistent
Sure,
and
yeah.
more in keeping with the character of the
Right.
district? It's kind of,
Yeah.
that, to me, that's the kind of the goal.
Right. Set location.
And
set
you may be right.
style.
We
Yeah.
may have been trying to struggle to figure out what is a workable solution for everybody. But again, it's the overall intent or goal to
Yeah,
have something in
and
keeping.
I think that, and you've relayed your impression, but the goal of having this approval in advance is just so that we can have a discussion. And, we have one mandate to help preserve the historic character of the district, and you have an important interest in conveying information, conveying ideas, conveying information about upcoming events, whatever it is. But I mean, I'm a believer that if we talk about these things, we can come to
Right.
a good accommodation.
I think
Um,
my feedback is just, it seems like you have particular ideas in mind. And it would be helpful rather than coming and kind of doing a ton of research, trying to come up with a bunch of different ideas and saying, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? If instead you were to say, here are 3 samples of the types of things that we can preemptively say fall within the outlines as you've stated them. Because again, I read the parameters and I see you systematically eliminating all of the standard temporary sign options. So no wires, no A-frames, no flags. So, you do a Google search for temporary sign and everything that pops up is what you've listed as not usable. So what is it? And again, I hear you saying you want to figure that out, and that's awesome.
Well,
And I'm here to-
we're
to
so
talk
glad you're
to you.
here to help
Yeah.
us figure that. I
Right.
think that's
I
the
think
point. Yeah.
that's why maybe
Yeah.
some kind of meeting, info session with all of us, we could even bring a sign,
Right.
and we can just talk about, because I do
What-
think there's challenges we're facing that you probably aren't aware of,
Right.
and so, and it's enlightening to me to hear what your mission is. So I think it would be helpful to.
mean,
For example, when we review a C of A, we're not designing. You just saw a couple of C of As being presented. A design is brought to us and we're evaluating whether it's in keeping with the historic character of the district. And that's our ultimate responsibility. In this case, it's a little bit different in that if we're trying to come up with a concept or a solution, we certainly probably could help bring some ideas to the table. But I think at the same time, we'd love for you to bring ideas as well and work together to find that.
I mean, just listening to the conversation, I take your point that it would be helpful to have samples, but we've suggested some possibilities that would work. The musical masterwork sign, whether that comes in a form that could be modified with a different front that's replaceable.
Right.
That's one option. Signs that are attached below existing signs, side banners. So there are ideas out there, and it may be that we talk about it and you say, well, none of those really work for us, but at least we've got the starting point of the discussion.
And John actually raises one good point in that one of the overall arching things we're trying to address is just the proliferation of signs. So one of the things that's part of our evaluation of somebody presenting a permanent sign is its location, how it relates to other structures on the property. So you made me think of the idea that when you put a banner on an existing sign, we're not scattering things around a property or around the district, but there is a more clear definition of where things go, and there's some benefit to that in terms of the character of the
Right. Yeah.
characteristic of the district.
Consistent,
Right.
visible outlet.
So it's not just the sign design, but actual the physical location and how it relates to the property. Yeah.
Would it be okay if we entered the conversation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's open to,
It's open.
you don't even have to come up
Yeah.
if you like.
Forgive us, actually, we thought the meeting was upstairs in the old conference room. So we were waiting for the door to open and to be asked to enter. And then Martha Shoemaker exited and said, "What are you guys here for?" Well, we're here for the Historic District Commission.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for your input. Yeah. Yeah. But please.
And Katie, thanks for your thoughts on signs as well. I mean, it's helpful to hear that the library is
Steve?
considering this as well. Hi, Mary, how are you? Good. Anyway, forgive us for
No worries.
walking in later than advertised and requested.
But jump right in if you into the conversation if you like.
Well, only to say that, we are, I think faced with the very same considerations and questions. And I know you all have had questions for us about the temporary signs. So I don't know what to say in response to that. It sounds like the request or the struggle is to figure out some kind of consistency that you can apply across town with
Right.
church or churches, maybe LASB or the library as well. But
Yeah, and that it's workable for the different organizations, but also is in keeping with our mandate, which is the historic characteristic of the district. And are there design parameters, design ideas that we could come to consensus over I'm not saying that every sign has to be exactly the same. Nobody wants that, but what are some principles, some guidelines? And we've outlined some of our thoughts in the side guidelines that you have received. So, and we're hearing some feedback on that.
Yeah.
But if you have any response to that or concerns, we'd love to hear that now. And then there's been a proposal to maybe almost have like a workshop with the different nonprofits.
Yeah.
We have a more formal dialogue. Maybe this is the first. So.
Yeah, no, I think that would be interesting and maybe helpful to have a wider workshop, but we struggle with the exact same things that I heard Katie talking about.
Right.
One has to do with cost. I mean, if we were to put a sign up, and we don't do it all that often, but there are some moments in which we feel compelled to do so. So yeah, there's a cost involved, and knowing that it's temporary, we have some restrictions about what we can do cost-wise, but also speed. We are often compelled to respond to very particular events that we feel called to speak to and to put our voice forth into the world. And we know that this is a temporary sign, but the moment comes and the moment goes. So the most recent one was Minneapolis. It felt urgent for a little bit, and then the moment passed, and then it became time to take it down.
Yeah, and for our purposes, finding an accommodation would be great. We get all sorts of complaints. Nobody said, I don't like the message. That might have been behind some of the complaints.
This is what I suspect.
But it's harder for us to, it's easier for us to reply to say, yes, we recognize the need for temporary signs. We've had conversations. We have this approval and advance mechanism.
Yeah.
This fits. If there's a solution that the goal is a solution that works for you and works for us, that alleviates, I think, both us and you, but also helps with other people in town. So we can say, yeah.
If we can figure that out.
If you want to do temporary signs too, and your organization hasn't been part of this conversation, come in and talk with.
John,
no, listen, if we can figure that out, that would be great.
We struggled with the whole temporary sign when we were going through making these guidelines. So maybe if we could think of, if you have an event coming in 2 weeks that you need to get notice out, is there something, or maybe you have an event in 3 weeks, that some kind of sign that we could approve that would suit their needs, wouldn't be really expensive, any big deal. But if you do have events that I know you want to get out there, and if you have 2 weeks notice or 3 weeks notice, not a big billboard, but there must be some kind of common ground that we could do to accommodate, because there is so many, and you do have events that you want to advertise that last minute or 2 weeks or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the idea of some kind of workshop would be welcome. And I just scribbled down 16 entities on Lime Street that I think could be invited to join us, including the school, including several of us, nonprofits and businesses. So
it's not going to be easy, because everybody's going to have a different need.
understand.
And then if we're gonna incorporate cost and all of that, like,
Right.
it's a lot, but I think at least we can kind of get to some understanding so that every month there isn't, let's call them in to look at this, but, you know, we have something that we have to follow as well as you have something that you need to follow.
Yeah.
And Old Line on our logo is artist. I mean, we have a creative group here, and my hope is that involving some of the organizations that you're talking about, that the solution speaks to what Old Line is all about.
Mhm.
You know, in other words, so that I'm not a sign designer. You know, I can't sit here and say this is exactly what would be fantastic, but I'm sure there are a lot of creative minds here in town that could help come to that kind of solution that works for everybody, but also maybe inspires and that speaks to what Old Line, you know, is, which is an art. Art is a very important part of our community.
We had, and Ed Pinn had to leave. He had raised the question, but while you're here, do you remember Ed's question about lighting at the church?
I think there was a question. I think
Lighting of signs.
there's a tall light
Yep.
on a that doesn't seem to be one of the sign lighting guidelines in what we described about was to try to get the lighting local and focused to the sign itself and not go beyond the community. And I think Ed has expressed some concerns about there's one particular light at the church, not the steeple lighting, but the sign lighting that maybe not.
Yeah, let me give you some background there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
As you probably all remember, we had to take down that big 30-inch caliper red maple at the corner of Lime Street, Ferry Road. It was necessary because it came to the end of its life. As a matter of fact, one of its big 3 trunks came down on our property not long before the White Elephant sale. So, but anyway, we responded and we understood from Jason Wilcox that he'd been hearing from the tree warden that tree should have probably come down earlier than it did because it had reached the end of its life. It was hollow inside, basically. So anyway, the tree came down. What nobody saw was that tree was hiding a 3-inch diameter steel 20-foot high pole with 3 big floodlights on it.
Right.
And nobody saw it because the tree had eventually surrounded that big lighting pole. And so that was for lighting the facade of half the facade of the meeting house. So when the tree came down, here was this totally unsightly, inappropriate 20-foot high steel pole. And so I had Ray Zellick take it down instantly because it just wasn't, it was an eyesore. Then Russell Leonard, who's the chairman of our property committee, and I went out shortly thereafter at night. And we noticed a severe safety issue because the walks in the front of the meeting house and on the side were now in complete darkness. And we have many functions going on at night, choir rehearsals and meetings and so forth. So we needed something right away to make sure that those walks were lit for safety purposes. The light was not designed to light up the First Congregational Church sign that is already existing.
I see.
It wasn't sign lighting. It was a safety lighting. Now, there have been other requests for us to consider the lighting on the facade of the church. One is energy usage, and the other is disturbing bird migration patterns. And so we've had it on our list, and this raised it a little bit on our list to do something more benign and I can't think of the adjective, but more appropriate and gentle for the lighting of the facade of the meeting house. And that's a work in progress. We have no plans yet. We have a lighting designer looking at it, who has done some work for Centerbrook Architects in the past. And so our property chair, Russell, who is an architect at Centerbrook, has been trading ideas, but we have no plan yet. But we would like to eventually make the lighting of the facade much more indirect and benign, rather than these huge lights.
Uplighting, yeah.
That exist. So that's in progress. Anyway, that's the background for that pole.
Right.
To safety. And we hope then that when we get to an eventual plan for the lighting of the facade, that it'll alleviate that safety
So
issue.
we could, it's fair to say that that's a temporary
Yes.
lighting that's there now, and that there would be a new proposed lighting of the grounds and the illumination of the.
Yes, which is in progress, and we're such an early stage in that work that we're not ready to.
And that would require a C of A. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, any
Right.
structure would include lights.
Light,
that are
yeah.
meant to be, especially lights that are meant to be permanent.
Right.
Yeah, and
We understand that. And we,
Yeah.
you know, we would bring this to you.
Yeah.
I think Ed would like to hear that. We can share that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's the background of that. We would not have put that pole up there. We've tried to make it as small as possible. We wouldn't have put that pole up there had it not been a nighttime.
Nighttime safety, yeah. And is there a general time frame you're thinking on the lighting design and the upgrade?
We're having to be gentle about that because the lighting designer is doing his work pro bono.
I see.
So it's hard to push him. But in a couple of months, I would say.
So within 6 months.
Yeah. Oh, but definitely within
This summer we could, yeah, okay, we'll look forward to that.
I mean, we're happy either to proceed with a formal C of A, here's what we want to do, or if you have ideas you want to toss around, just stop in for a conversation before.
Well, I think we would definitely do that. We
Yeah.
would definitely show you either a preliminary plan or a set of alternatives before we'd make an application. Sure.
Okay.
I think other issues or questions that people had about the church, really, I mean, you were on here specifically because of the lighting, the lighting issue, but the other questions really fall under the rubric of signage that we've been talking about, and how do we reach some accommodation and suggest feasible alternatives.
So when does there's a group that gathers, and when is that? Because maybe
It would be easier for a few of us to go to a big gathering.
something that's already happening.
To
and
say,
invite
we're
us.
setting a meeting and you all come in.
We hosted our TP, the date is, we need 1 minute, we'll let you know, but
Okay.
it's in the next couple of weeks.
That may be.
But also, I think there are some people who you might want included in a workshop who might not be a nonprofit director coming to our meetings, such as the school, the Cooley Gallery, or,
Could you-
Lily Worktile, or,
Email the names
Yeah,
to
sure.
Martha, that would be a
I
big help.
can't give you the fire department, like, I can give you
Right.
names of
Just send it.
organizations that I think would be included that might be outside of this meeting that we're looking at the date for, but yeah.
And we don't want to occupy that entire meeting. But how long would
We meet about an hour.
an hour?
Mhm.
So Mary, what I'm thinking is the meeting, the director's meeting that we do is a regional one, so we'll set a separate one. and
We
we'll
set a
include-
special one, and sometimes we have people from,
We'll include the church, we'll include a couple of the other nonprofits and invite, if you wanna come.
Yeah.
It would be great, and then it'll probably be about 45 minutes, an hour.
sure, we can get back to you with the date. We can work on that together.
Yeah, or suggest a few
So
days.
that's a few options.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we do that?
That would be great.
Okay.
I think that's great.
Okay,
That's exactly
I think that's what's needed.
how we should proceed. Yeah.
Should we include zoning in that meeting?
I think so. I think it would be good to have Eric speak to the zoning sign requirement. Yeah.
In fact, I think finding a date when there are any number of us, so odds are pretty good that somebody can represent the HDC.
Yeah.
But having a date when Eric can be there, I think
Okay.
would be extremely
I mean, this isn't urgent, so we'll find a good date, you know,
Yeah.
in a month or so.
helpful. Okay.
I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
coordinate That, okay.
Thank you for raising your hand, didn't you? Volunteering a little bit.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Rosemary. Yeah.
Lance here. I know,
Yeah.
okay. Appreciate the invite, okay.
Okay. Any other comments, thoughts,
Comments,
questions
questions while you're.
while you're here?
Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
And yeah, forgive us again for
You're in the wrong room.
being in the wrong room. We were in the right building, wrong room.
Yeah, we thought we were early.
Yes, I guess, you guys used to
We
be.
met up there, yeah.
That's what I remember when I
Yeah,
interacted with you a couple of times. It was up there.
they moved this,
That's
great.
we have it's
I saw that.
online.
Yeah, it's great.
Anyway, apologies again, and yeah, thanks again for the conversation.
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
Let's see, secretary's report.
Okay, we are tracking 18 situations in the historic district. Do you want me to list them or they're all included in the?
Any that require kind of action.
The only
Right,
one is the school,
mhm,
center school, front door.
right,
That C of A has now expired as of tomorrow. So they need to come back in June. They said they were going to finish the project in June. So they need to come back and renew.
I think we requested they do that.
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
If you can
that's,
correspond to them.
yeah,
Do that, yeah.
I will definitely do that. Everything else is looking good. Nothing else has expired.
You can take the railing at 36 off your list.
Yes, yes, that'll be nice.
The phone call.
That'll be nice. Yeah, just what we've discussed at the meeting today as far as the people coming back in June and things like that. But that's already in the minutes. We sent out 2 communications. One, about the HB 5508. Bill.
Right,
Yep. We sent our comments posing those sections 2 and 3 to various state officials, legislators, things like that. And we also sent a statement to the Board of Selectmen about the Bow Bridge reconstruction. Just letting them know that we did not like that. And I sent a file to Elena Shelbear to put into the Excel spreadsheet. I sent her all the property files, a list of all the property files that we have.
Has she done that?
No, she hasn't put it into hers. I managed to convert some PDFs that I have into Excel. So I do have it in Excel now, but it's not as nice as the one that she created.
How long is she going to be here?
I don't know. I think it was April or I think it was May. But we do have a basic thing. It's just not as
Right.
fancy.
I mean, if she could touch base with her
Yeah.
right away and say,
Yeah.
can you get to this?
Yeah, I did just send that to her,
Oh, okay.
like probably two weeks ago. So she's had, yeah, it should be pretty easy for her, and I might be able to do it myself. Because I have the sample that she sent, which is nice, nicer than the one that I made. But it has all the same categories and I can,
Copy and paste, I have no clue how it would work.
I can probably, I'll try copying and pasting in there, but I do now at least have a functional Excel database with all of our, with the records that we have, so that's a good thing. The historic plaque program, I have not had a chance to do anything on that. And that's all I have.
Okay. We're kind of out of time. Is there any new or ongoing business?
Well, what I would like to
Kinda
just take 30 seconds or a minute
Right.
and talk about which items could be added or should be added to this first special meeting.
Yep.
I mean, from my perspective, there's a bunch of stuff that it would be good to do. It would be good to do soon. We've got a bunch of work done on website revisions. We hope that Elena could input them, but she can't, given her time. The sign guidelines, especially as a provision on realtor signs, has been pending for over a year, and it would be nice to finish it.
Should the realtors be part of this? It's a temporary sign. Or is that separate from the nonprofit?
I think it's separate.
Okay.
The details of their signs, because they take stakes and put them in the ground.
Okay.
POCD is an emergency, no, but they're going to be starting on the next POCD. They've asked for input. We've never given them input from last POCD. One of those items are demolition guidelines. And we had a preliminary discussion of those. So that's too much for one meeting. I mean, I hate to say it's like a condo association. Here's a one-time special assessment.
What was the focus
every year?
With the focus on lighting and signage, it seems like unless there's something that takes precedent over that, that's where we should turn our attention to. Because it aligns with the discussion that we just had.
Yeah, it seems to come up.
I mean, the zoning regulations revisions could become front burner.
It could.
I haven't heard from Eric Knapp, but I believe late April was the date a subcommittee of the zoning commission was going to decide on dates for workshops with various local boards to discuss things. And we've done a lot of work already on changes that didn't go into phase one because they weren't purely technical.
Right.
But there may be other issues that we want to do. The issue with a special meeting is we can't do anything that's not on the agenda. So I would almost rather lean towards putting everything on, and if we don't get to it, but just for my and Russ's purposes, if there are background documents to be developed, I'd like to have a sense of what we should get to first.
Website revisions kind of depend on the other ones, right? So on like lighting guidelines, signage, all that kind of stuff. So we can table that a little bit. We can hold that off to the side. I mean, we could start some things earlier, but I think Carolyn's been kind of waiting to have everything, so depending on how you feel, just in terms of planning, like you could prioritize the other things and then tackle the website revisions all at once a little later.
Okay.
If you wanted to.
I think so. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's also possible to get what we have up, and then if there's a paragraph that needs to be added about demolition guidelines, you can plug that in.
Either way.
But
But we could move forward on anything.
But I would suggest for document prep, hold off on the website include the signage guidelines, I can do that.
I'd like to tackle lighting. If we could. Particularly because the church lighting is gonna come up. We just heard, and it'd be good to have our head in that game so that that'll be a very important lighting element in town,
Right.
right?
Yeah, okay.
And it's probably the gentleman from Centerbrook that is doing the dark sky presentations. He was, because he mentioned he formerly of Centerbrook and
Yeah.
a lighting designer. It's so, it might be that he's involved with the church and might guide us. If you, yeah.
Well, let me put those two as the first two sign guidelines, lighting guidelines. Let me list zoning regulation revisions, just in case there's anything to touch base with. I'll just leave website revisions off. The demolition guidelines, it would be actually helpful to decide. When we first talked about this, I think I did up a list that had 2 or 3 different options. So if we could just conceptually say, yes, this is something we want to address, or no, we're too busy, we just can't. But if we say yes, do we go down track 1 or track 2?
I think it's important.
Without looking in detail about the.
Well, there's some properties on the market on Lime Street that have potential for demolition. So, it's probably
Right.
important too. Yeah. I mean, I can think of 2 or 3 right now.
And maybe put off POCD. I know planning, we didn't meet last month. So.
Right.
There wasn't any discussion on POCD last month. Or I don't think even the month before.
So you're on planning? Are you on
I'm an alternate.
ZBA?
No.
Okay,
All right.
so we can work with, Russ and I can
Do we-
work with Martha about the agenda.
But also the schedule. When is that meeting?
Oh,
The 11th.
Oh, it's gonna be
Yes.
after that.
That's me site.
Now, can that be in here or is there a room in town hall that we can reserve?
Martha will find
I'll
out.
find one.
Find one, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
maybe
I'll look on the schedule.
There's some corner offices up there.
Blankets and a picnic.
Yeah, a blanket's in a picnic.
Yeah, bring your lunch.
Yeah, it's gonna rain that day, I'm sure. All right, anything else? Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
or say aye?
Aye.
All right.